Good morning everyone, it's Groundhog Day because I'm at the same place just a day later and I'm doing the same test just in a different speed. Today it's range test with the Id.4 GTX, the new version with the new motors, all-wheel drive, 250 kilowatt with ID software 4.0, the new hardware and everything. And today we're going to do 110 kilometers an hour because not everyone is driving 130. And if you are in a country where you can drive 130, this you can think of a simulation if you do country road and highway, not just highway as we did yesterday. Charging to 100%, then we go. I didn't preheat the battery today, so it's charging a bit slower, but it's fine. It's nice and warm. It already has 15 degrees out. I can be in my shirt. And yes, I hope I don't need heat and AC as yesterday. It would be amazing. And by the way, I checked the data from the Id.4 Pro drive and GTX, so the comparison that you've seen in the end of the video. And yes, they have the same range, 334 and 330 on the GTX yesterday. But the Pro did it at 8 to 10 degrees and with heat on at 21 degrees, not big heat, but a bit of heat. And this GTX had 15 to 19 degrees, so 10 degrees warmer, and no heat and no AC. So it could be a bit more. So it could be 5 to 10% difference in consumption just with an all-wheel drive. But let's go. I just started driving, drove only 12 kilometers, driving 113 on the speedometer. You know, I have to explain it every time. Speedometer is not always the real speed, and I want to compare cars at the real speed. That's very important. Only drove 12 kilometers, already down to 95% because uphill in the beginning. I can see that my heat is not on. It's not heating up the air, so consumption for climate should be extremely low. Just the fan, and I have that on too. Yes, average speed is already 100. That's amazing. I love that. And yes, we're gonna drive on. What I wanted to show you was the lane change assist. My drive mode is in eco, by the way. So, and I wanted to show you the auto lane change. How it works is in your head-up display or on your cockpit here. When you see this arrow here, left or right of the lane, that means that the lane is free. The arrow is there. I tap the indicator, it goes over. I have to keep the steering wheel in my hand, and that's it. I'm at 75% and it was 95 kilometers. That would mean 380 kilometers of full range. And yesterday we saw that on 75%, so the stretch where I am, it's a bit higher consumption at the end. So maybe we'll get to 400 in the end, something like this. The drive is amazing. I cleaned the windshield, I stopped for a second. Still no heat or anything. I'm driving against the sun. Listening to a podcast. Everything is good as it should be. Consumption is 195. Today I want to explain Tronity a bit more, how it works. So you connect your app account for your car, for Volkswagen for example, with your Volkswagen app, the credentials, you log into Tronity, Tronity connects to your app account, and if your car and your app are communicating the data, so state of charge, range, and the position, and your odometer, then you can do all of the things that I'm always talking about what Tronity can do. So you can see your trips, where did you go from where to where, from what state of charge to what state of charge. And it also can see your odometer at the start and at the end, and all of your charging sessions. And that's awesome, because then you get how many kilowatt hours did you charge, which the Tronity doesn't know. It just knows your state of charge in the beginning of a charging session and the end, and it takes your battery capacity of your car, which you can adjust, by the way. So if you think, hey, I have degradation, you can put that in. Let's say in this ID.4 I don't have 77, I have 75 kilowatt hours usable, which is true, by the way, in this car. Then it calculates like this, and then for charging, you can put in, okay, I charge with this card, it costs this much if I charge DC, and when I'm home, it costs this much for AC charging at home, and you can just select this charging session was at home, this was with this card, this was with this card, and with all of this data, you can see your average consumption on your trips, your monthly cost and everything, which is awesome. So a trip today, it knows how I started the trip, with what state of charge, with what did I end, how many kilometers did I drive because of the odometer change, and then with the battery capacity, and this it gives an estimation what the average consumption would be, which is pretty close. When charging, of course, again, it uses the battery capacity and your state of charge, but it doesn't include the charging loss. So we're going to do a video with my ID.7, and you're going to see that Tronity says I charged 32 kilowatt hours and Ionity says it was 34, but this is what I paid for, and this 32 is the one that went into the battery. And of course the driver's logbook, which is tax compliant, which is really cool. So if you need it for your business or for your work, you drive for work with your EV, you can show I charged this much, this many kilowatt hours, it costs this much, and this is the kilometers I drove for work. And you can select all of your drives that you are recording with the app and say this was for work, this was private, and then at the end you can see this is how much I drove for work and so on. It's really cool. So check them out in the link in the description. My viewers get 25% off. I'm at 50% and I drove 192 kilometers, so 384 kilometers of full range. Consumption is still very similar, 196 watt-hours per kilometer, good average speed. I had to stop to pee. Everything is still the same. The fan is now doing a bit more because it's 19 degrees and the sun is out, so I have to cool the interior a bit, but no AC, no heat, but like I said, just a bit more airflow. And I'm going as far as I can go on this highway till there is a construction zone with 90 kilometers an hour speed limit, and before that I'm gonna turn around and then go back to the charger. We'll see how we will arrive. I'm guessing under 20%, but not under 10. I navigated back to the charger. It's 115 kilometers back, and I looked at Google Maps. It's 343 kilometers, and when I look at what I've driven so far and the distance, the car will show 332 at the end. So very close, that's fine. I have 182 kilometers of range. That's 68 kilometers of margin or safety, so it should be fine. The car says I will arrive with 17%, but I'm guessing it will get higher. I think it will be around 20%. That's just fine. I'm okay with that. Not a lot to say how the drive is, because it's the same as in the 130 kilometers an hour range test. It's just quieter with 110, and it's perfect today with no trucks. I have to pass a few times, and there are a few trucks, but it's not, even though it's busy, but most of the people are driving faster than 113. I arrived with 16%, drove 332 kilometers, average consumption 192 watt-hours per kilometer. So I used 84% of the battery, drove 334 kilometers. That's a full range of 397 kilometers. And as always, I put my data here, for the whole drive. And on the other side, I will put the data of the Id.4 Pro that I did 3 weeks ago. So you can check out the difference in temperature. I'm pretty sure it was also colder on that day, and the average speed, how everything was, the consumption, and then if I used heat or not, you can see it all in this data. But it was a nice drive. Perfect today, perfect weather. It's nice and sunny, it's not too warm, not too cold. If it's warmer, of course, there's a 25 degrees, it's better consumption, but then you need the AC. It was nice today. Charge a bit and then go home. If you want to follow me on Instagram, BatteryLife1, and if you want to support the channel, there's a Patreon link in the description below, and you can also support this channel on YouTube here with channel membership. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and take care. Bye.